Welcome to the Manx Theatre Podcast.
Come on to the theatre.
Hello, and welcome back to episode 26 of the Manx Theatre Podcast with me, Neil Callin. Thank you to everyone who's listened to our previous episodes. If you're brand new to the podcast, welcome along and thanks for joining us. In this podcast, we like to try and keep you up to date with what's going on in theatre on the Isle of Man and chat to the cast and creators of upcoming shows to find a little bit more about the shows and the people behind them.
Coming up in this week's episode,
I'm joined by two of the cast members of Taylorian Productions' upcoming production of A Chorus Line, which runs at the Gaiety Theatre from Saturday the 7th of August through the Saturday the 14th of August. On Sunday 8th of August, there will not be a performance of A Chorus Line, but instead there'll be the latest of Taylorian's Sunday Night at the Gaiety events. As A Chorus Line is an adult company only, this Sunday Night at the Gaiety is focusing on showcasing the island's young talent, who, along with a few more experienced performers, will be bringing some well-known songs from the musicals, including Waitress, Adrian Mole, School of Rock, Aladdin, Six, Prince of Egypt, and many, many more. You can still listen to all of our previous episodes through all the usual podcast outlets and at manxradio.com/podcasts. While you're there, make sure to subscribe, give us a like, rate, and leave a little review and share with all your friends. You can also keep up to date with what's going on by following Manx Theatre Podcast on Facebook and Instagram and at Manx Theatre Pod on Twitter. Joining me now on the podcast via the power of Zoom are Liam Behan and Natalie Nixon, who are playing Bobby and BB in Taylorian's upcoming production of the Broadway classic A Chorus Line. Liam, Natalie, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Neil.
Hi. So, guys, nice to have you along. Are you happy to have a bit of a break in your rehearsals at the moment? It must be pretty hectic.
Yeah, it's been pretty full on. I would rather not do it in complete isolation in my apartment for 10 days due to COVID, but, you know.
Needs must.
Needs must.
I'm just starting now 10 days in my house after being on Zoom for so long before I came back to the island. But it's been hectic, but I mean, it's got to be done, doesn't it? Anything to get the show on.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chorus Line then. For those who don't know anything about the show, what can you tell us about it?
So it's set in New York, and I think you just told me the date, actually. I think it was 1975. It's basically about a group of actors who go for an audition to be in the chorus line of kind of Broadway's latest musical. They get through the initial stages where they do the dancing, and then instead of doing an acting piece or a monologue, they're asked to talk about their lives by the director, and it's basically the story of all their lives, isn't it, Nat? And
yeah, it's really interesting because it's not so much of a continuous plot. It's one of the first concept musicals that ever hit Broadway, so it's actually quite an important musical contextually, but it's more of a, you look into the lives of the people rather than about the plot of who. It's not like a who's going to get the role. It's you just really fall in love with these people on stage, and as you look into how they've grown up and stuff. So it's and it's just so, it talks about the industry at that time, but it's so pressing as the same as it is like nowadays with obviously the pandemic and everything. It hits so hard, and I just think it's one that even if you don't know musicals, like it's one that everyone really needs to see, just to get a glimpse into the industry a bit and into the lives of the characters on stage.
it's got a bit of everything as well. Yeah, it's sad in places, it's really funny in places, but like the dancing's great, the music's great. It's a lot. It's a really, really great show.
And it's based on true stories as well, isn't it? It's based on some interviews with real actors going through the whole audition process.
Yeah, a lot of it is like, it's a lot of the monologues and stuff like that are like verbatim from what happened with these workshops with these dancers when it was just an idea. They got these dancers in a room and just started talking about their lives, and a lot of the monologues, for like example Paul's monologue, which is Christian in the show, a lot of that is like verbatim, which is, you know, what they actually said, because they wanted to really keep it as real as possible based on the actual lives of these dancers and the situation that they were in. And so they've captured that really well, I think, in the writing and in the music, that it feels real, which is very nice to see, I think.
There's a great documentary on YouTube that our director got us to watch, and it's the story of sort of how the show came about, and the directors and the lyricists and stuff, and about like what Natalie's just said, how they got these actors together who were all working in 1970s Broadway. Mm-hmm. And I think they were up all night just sort of sharing stories. They went from kind of, I think it was like 6 o'clock at night until 6 o'clock in the morning, just talking. And it's a really, really interesting like concept and show, definitely.
Fabulous. The cast we've got is pretty awesome, isn't it? There's a lot of people there that are both professional actors who are home working on the island. There's people like Natalie who are currently training but are home, and there's a few well-seasoned locals in there as well.
Did you just call me old?
I think you said
well-seasoned. It was polite.
Well-seasoned, like a good ham. I like that.
I think more of a wine.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so it's I think because in the show, and Natalie will probably agree with me, there's a real range in ages of the performers. So I think what's really nice is that we've all been picked as actors to sort, you've got Ollie Sykes. Ollie's what, 16, 17?
16, I think.
Yeah, and then you like right up until, I think she'll kill me for saying this, but I think Lisa Kreisky's the oldest. I think she's nearly 40, isn't she, Lisa? So kind of, and then you've got Matt James, like Matt's playing the director, Zach, and he's, and then you've got everybody in between. So it's like, it's nice to see. Most of it, I think, is age appropriate to the actor. We were just having a laugh, weren't we, about the fact that I'm supposed to be playing a 25-year-old, which is hilarious. But yeah, so it's really nice.
If it hadn't been for COVID, I'd still be in the cast, but then at nearly 43, I'd have been the oldest. So scary how it wasn't that long ago that I was one of the youngest members of the cast.
I know, it's scary. It's horrifying, isn't it? Yeah.
The dad of the show. It's scary. Sorry, no, what were you going to say?
Yeah, it's nice as well that obviously it's a horrible situation we've all been in this past year, but the fact that we've managed to get people who we might not would have had, people who've been working, people who've we've had to come back, and we've now got this amazing team because it's such an ensemble show that we all have about the same amount to do. Like, it's not like one person's got more than another person, and it's just the fact that you've got professionals like working alongside just the like amazing local talent we've got, and it's just such a credit, I think, to the Isle of Man to be able to pull together this such amazing team of people to make something that. And obviously it's come out of a horrible situation, but I just think it's really nice to manage to pull it together out of the year we've had to make something so special with such a great group of people. I think it's really special.
We were saying that kind of, obviously, people like Georgia and Damien, they're professional working actors now, and they would obviously rather not be here in a sense. But also, I think everybody's had so much fun. It's like Natalie's just said, we've made a really nice situation out of something that could have been really horrible. And I don't know whether you've ever worked with Georgia Maddox on a show, but it's a laugh a minute. So like, she's probably the funniest person I think I've ever worked with on a show. She's hysterical.
And not always for the right reasons.
I didn't say that.
We love you, Georgia. So there's been a little bit of a movement with some of the cast as well. We've had a couple of people that have had to drop out for various reasons, of myself with COVID, but also Joey Hillard, who, I mean, bad news for the show, but great news for him. He's been taken back out to America, and because his cruise is back going again, isn't it? So it's nice to see that some of the professionals have been able to get back out to work again.
We miss him, but we're kind of, Damien is also doing a brilliant job.
Yeah. So
it's like it's bittersweet, but kind of but I think everybody who knows Joe is so fiercely proud of him, because he's, I remember when Joe came down to the operatic for the first time. I think he was the bellboy in Titanic. Yeah. And like he barely spoke to people. He was so shy, and now he's like this incredible actor, and he's doing Grease on a cruise line, and his voice is so insane. But yeah, everybody's proud of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
The show then, it actually runs in normal time, really. It runs over the actual sort of time that the audition period happens. So we see people right at the very start, and I believe from an early conversation with Chris, and I don't know whether this is still the case or not, but he's got people coming in with the audience and warming up in the auditorium.
Yeah. Don't give too much away.
Oh, sorry. Maybe, possibly. I mean, it probably isn't happening anymore, so...
Yeah. No, I think that is still a plan, isn't it, Nat?
Yeah, it's one of them. With Taylorian, you never really know what you go and you know Taylorian are such a reputable company, but there's always something new that you're not quite expecting. So obviously there's not a lot technically you can do with this show, but from the get-go, let's just say you're going to feel really involved with it.
Yeah.
And it's
part of the process.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people might see sides to theatre that they might not have seen previously if they've not actually been part of the world before.
Mm-hmm.
Immersive is the word.
I don't have to say on the matter, but yeah, leave that there.
So the show is only running for 1 week, isn't it? Because normally Taylorian tend to take 2 weeks over through the summer holidays, but this show's only running for 1 week, isn't it? So we're going from the 7th to the 14th, and then there's Sunday night at the Gaiety on the Sunday night.
Yes.
On Sunday the 8th.
On the 8th, yes, perfect. So you've done a few Taylorian shows, haven't you, Liam?
No, this is only my second one.
The second one, is it? Oh,
So my first one was Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, my favourite show I've ever watched over here.
It was amazing. With the amazing Sarah, and I played Manfred, the tailor. So I got a really cool number. The lady's paying. But yeah, so this is my first ever show with Chris as a director. I really, really enjoyed working with him. He's very he's got a really sort of, it's the first time I've ever worked with a director who's younger than me. So it's been really kind of interesting to work with somebody who's got a very young kind of fresh take on sort of putting a show together.
Mm-hmm.
He very much he gives you lots of direction, but he gives you options.
Yeah, makes it quite a collaborative affair.
Yeah, definitely. He wants you to work with him.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to just tell you what to do, which is really lovely, really freeing, and it's a lovely way to collaborate with somebody and work with somebody.
No, I agree. He likes to. Some directors, and neither's better than the other, but some directors like to tell you what your character's like, whereas other directors like Chris want you to find out what your character's like for yourself. After one of the very first kind of calls we had, he sent us away with homework to go and write down everything that's in the script, like about your character, so like your given circumstances, but then he wanted you to really build it yourself and make those informed choices to fill in the background, so that when you come to blocking and stuff, he goes, well, why do you think she said that, or why she paused there, why she said this, rather than telling you and you have to say, okay, this is the answer. He pulls that out of everyone, which I just think is, I really love working with him like that, because it's just, like as Liam said, it's a lot more freeing, and you really feel like you can understand your character more because you've made those choices from the information you've been given, rather than just being told that this is how I want it.
Yeah.
It makes it feel like you're playing a character that you've developed rather than a character that you've been given.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. And Bobby has a series of monologues in one of the numbers, and they're very funny. But Chris has kind of helped me figure out what's kind of underneath all that, and sort of why he's saying these things, and why he does what he does. And I won't give too much away, but yeah. So it's been really cool.
You're listening to the Manx Theatre Podcast with Neil Callin.
So anyone who knows Liam or follows him on Instagram or many other things will know that Liam can normally be seen sprouting quite an impressive beard these days. However, if you've seen his Instagram of late, you'll notice that he's trimmed it down to a rather interesting 70s porn star tash.
I want to break free. Yeah.
So is this a life choice, or is this for the show itself?
Well, so what it was, I love like sort of playing about with my appearance. I always have, and it started off as kind of a joke in my head, because I was watching Friends, with Richard,
Mm-hmm.
like Tom Selleck, and
Magnum PI.
Magnum PI, yeah. And I thought and I just made the connection between him and like Bobby is gay. So, but like, what would a gay man in New York in the 70s look like? And I was like, he would look like Tom Selleck, and he would look like Magnum PI, and like the guy from The Village People. And I made the joke about it with the guys first on like our group chat that we've got.
Yeah.
And I wasn't totally serious. And then I approached Chris about it, and he was like, I love it, do it. So like, yeah. And like, here we are. and now I have a mustache, and I kind of like it. It's very empowering. I feel very powerful.
Well, it looks magnificent.
Thank you. I thought so.
Natalie, any changes that you've had to make for the show?
He's growing a mustache as well.
Yeah, no. So my mustache is just growing in, but I don't have to make any changes really to my appearance, but they did a practice on my hair a few weeks ago, and it's huge. The whole point to my character is that like her mum's always told her that she's not pretty, that she's just different, she's not conventionally attractive. Mm-hmm. And so that's my whole character shtick, and they thought, well, what actually happened was the hair team had come across this hairstyle of these massive corkscrew curls that come out to about 3 times the size of your head. And they thought, well, whose hair's that going to look nice on? And then we're like, oh, Natalie will have that done. It's perfect, and it fits her character perfectly. So it takes over an hour with 2 people on each side of my head. Wow. But the result is fab, so I'm not complaining.
Are we talking like full-on crystal tips, are we?
Yes.
Do you know Merida from Brave?
Yes.
That's me. That's
wow.
me.
That's a lot of hair.
It's a lot of hair, considering how much hair I have as well. Like they really set themselves a challenge with it. I don't know why they couldn't. I don't know why they wanted to put themselves through that, but they've made the decision. So
bit more spectacular than just tied back in a pony.
Well, that's the thing. They could have just said, "Nat, put it in a ponytail," and I'd have been like, "Okay." But no, they got a whole team for my hair, so I get to sit and be pampered every other night, hopefully.
But make sure you're on time then. I
know. Add an hour to my getting ready time just for my hair.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's get to know the pair of you a little bit more. Liam, what was the first role you ever had, and what was it that got you started in the first place?
What got me started? So the first role I ever played was Hartley, the bandmaster in Titanic the musical, which was the second show I ever did, and that was with the Manx Operatic Society. The first show I ever did was Disco Inferno, and that was actually thanks to Marie Quinn. Believe it or not, because we went to college together to do hairdressing, and her and all the girls came down because I was working at Guys and Dolls at the time, and I used to get up and like sing on the karaoke, and Graham always used to encourage me to do it because people wouldn't get up, and God rest his soul, Graham, and people wouldn't get up until somebody else did it, so I was always the first one that was put on.
You were the starter.
And, yeah, basically. So Marie and a couple of the girls from the hairdressing group came down, and I got up and I sang. And Marie said, "I didn't know you could sing. Why don't you come and do a show with the Manx Ops?" I didn't know who the Manx Ops were. And so anyway, time passes. I'd forgotten all about it. And one day I'm sat in the house with my mom, and we're watching TV, and my phone rings, and it's Marie. And she was like, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm at home." And she was like, "I thought you were coming to rehearsals." And I'd completely forgotten. And I said I didn't know what she was talking about. And in typical Marie fashion, she says, "Get your ass down here." In that amazing way that only Marie talks. And yeah, and that was it. I went down, and like I never looked back, and I think I was 19.
Wow.
I'm 33 now, so yeah.
Gosh. Natalie, how about you? How did you get started?
Well, I have actually been dancing since I was about 2 years old. I mean, my auntie teaches at Christine Wilde's, so
right.
I was begging literally from pretty much the time I could talk and walk. I wanted to go to ballet, and I wanted to be a dancer, and that's what I wanted to do. So my auntie managed to get me into dance classes like a year earlier than the rest of the kids because I wouldn't shut up, and I was just... So yeah, I've been dancing from the get-go, and then I started singing lessons, and I started piano lessons, and then literally anything I could sink my teeth into that was related to performing, I wanted to do it. My first show, I was 8, and it was Peter Pan, the Panto with Dream Star, and I was the youngest in the show, and I just remember my granny knows Gary Chattel like quite well, so, and especially back then, and so he told my granny basically asked, she said, "Are you doing any pantos or anything? My granddaughter really wants to be she won't shut up, she wants to be on stage." So then So then I found out about the auditions and I went, and yeah, I've been in shows like ever since. It's really my favorite thing to do. Everyone always jokes and says, "Oh, Natalie can't do this. She's got rehearsals." And I'm like, do you know what? That's my favorite thing to do is, sorry, no, I can't. I've got rehearsals.
There are T-shirts and mugs and bags you can get with that on.
I know. And it really is a story of my life, and I don't even mind, because rehearsals are my favorite place to be. It's my favorite thing to do. So
yeah. Exactly the same, 100%.
Yeah, I'll get to there are many years in your life, certainly through your 20s, that just disappear. When you're talking about something, you say, "Well, which show was that we were doing?" I say, yeah. You work out what year it is by what show you were doing.
Yeah, I can't remember what I had for dinner, but I can probably still do some steps from West Side Story, or I can remember a harmony from Oklahoma, or
Oklahoma.
What a show!
What a show!
So, Natalie, back in 2019, you actually went away to begin your training, and you went to Hammond.
I did, yes. Started my BA in musical theatre performance in 2019, and I'm going into my grad year in September.
Back in 2019, when no one had heard of coronavirus.
Oh, tell me about it.
So how did that affect your course and the way that you trained?
So I remember it was in about March of 2020, and there's all of these rumours about coronavirus starting, and everyone was just joking around going, "Oh, we're going to get sent home, And then one day in March, we literally did just get called into a room and said, "Look, go home. Like we have to close for a few weeks." So yeah, we're closing. It was like before Easter. We were like, we're probably going to be back after Easter, but just go home, basically. So we did. And then obviously we didn't go back after Easter, and all of my first year assessments got cancelled, and I just got a free pass into second year pretty much, which was obviously very generous of the uni to give that to us. And then second year, we went back in for a week of blended learning in September, because that was going to be the new thing. Yeah, you get some studio time, you get some Zoom time. It's the future. Within a week, about half of my year group had caught COVID. So they were like, okay, this isn't working. So I literally had to do all my dance classes, all my acting classes, all my singing lessons, all over Zoom until March of this year. And it was just crazy doing dance classes in my kitchen and acting scenes trying to act in my bedroom with someone through the screen, trying to act with them. And it's been crazy. And we normally, a lot of the time at Hammond, if we're doing singing, we sing to the piano. Like, we've got amazing pianists, and they play for us. And so if you can't find a track for your song, or if it's not in the right key, they're wizards. They just go, "It's okay, I'll sort it." Mm-hmm. But obviously we've had to be singing to tracks on our side because of the lag on Zoom. And it's been crazy, and it's been really challenging trying to stay motivated, because you get that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people working from home will feel the same, but you don't have that difference of, okay, now I'm at uni, now is work time, and now is rest time, because I'm just in the same room all the time. But do you know what? Even though pretty much my entire second year was on Zoom, like, I can't fault anyone, because they've tried their hardest for us, and it's one of those, you get out what you put into it. So I really threw myself into it, because what else can you do? Do you know? I'm paying this money to get this degree, and if even the circumstances have changed, like, and just even this year, like, I've improved so much, and we've had to learn how to do self-tapes rather than in-person assessments, which is actually a really key skill now that is going to be used a lot going forward in the industry. So, it's been hard, but I think we've all come out stronger from it, because it's one of them. If you can get through that, you can get through just about damn near anything. Yeah,
and hopefully, with the way that the vaccines are rolling out, everything seems to be largely getting back to normal. Things are improving all the time. Shows are opening in the West End again now, so hopefully it won't be too much longer, and everything's back to normal properly.
I know. It's just it's crazy. Like, I watched the video of the Lion King cast from the West End come back together and sing The Circle of Life for the first time, and it's people really underestimate how much theatre brings people together. I was sat sobbing my little heart out to it, because it's just so special. Like, everyone's missed it so much, and even if you're not even if you're not a performer, even if you just like theatre and like watching it, like it's been such a horrible year, and to finally see all that opening up again is just, I actually think it's quite magic to see what it does to people, what it does for people.
Brilliant. Liam, I've just had a thought that there've been some auditions recently, haven't there?
There have, yeah.
For Hunchback.
Yes.
The Douglas Corrigan's production of The Hunchback of Notre Dame in March next year, March 2022?
Yes. No, February.
February, sorry. Yes. And you are the understudy for Quasimodo.
I am. Yeah, it was a bit of a dream. Thanks, Nat. A tiny dream, but I've wanted to play Quasimodo since I was 11. So, it's a really big deal, and it was an incredible audition process. Really, really involved, and it was the first time I'd ever done an audition via kind of a workshop process, and it was I never wanted to do a normal audition ever again. It was so kind of it was just a completely different atmosphere, and it's the only audition I think I've ever had where sort of like I feel like I've really learned something and walked away and thought like, oh right, and you get to sort of like watch how other people do it, and watch how other people interact. It was really, really cool, really cool, and I can't wait to start.
So, have you got some guaranteed performances in there, or?
I have. Yeah, I think I'm getting 2. I think.
Brilliant.
I'm sure they said. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, David definitely said. He said I'm getting at least 2. So yeah, I'll be telling all my friends and all my family about when they are, so they can come and watch them. But yeah, it's going to be amazing. I can't wait. If you've ever listened to the music of The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
It's something else.
Yeah, it's Alan Menken's like best work, I think, and it's they're having to have like a separate choir to sort of like beef all that sound out, and it's going to be a real challenge, an incredible technical challenge, I think. But you've got David Dawson at the helm, and Liz Dixon, and Sarah Holland's going to be assistant director, and the whole thing is going to come together. It's going to be really gorgeous, but it's so amazing. I can't wait to do it.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Whilst we're talking about auditions, the Manx Operatic Society have got their auditions for Sweeney Todd next month.
What a show.
What a
fantastic
show.
I did it last time round, and I was having a conversation with Emma, my wife, the other day, and we were saying actually we did that in 2004. So by the time it comes round next year, it'll be 18 years since it was last on stage.
You want me to make you feel old? I was 3 in 2004.
I went to see it, and I remember being absolutely horrified by Tony Hawk's.
Excellent.
Blown away by Sarah. I don't remember you at all. No, I'm joking. No, I do. I remember the whole thing. It was such a spectacle, and I'd never really seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
Just absolutely incredible. Really, really amazing. And I'm very excited to watch what sort of John does this time and see what he does differently, what he might do kind of the same. It's going to be. I'm going to ask actually if I can go in the wig room with him.
Yeah.
And work on things, because I did it for Phantom and it was amazing.
I mean, Sweeney Todd was John Cumberledge's first show with the Manx Operatic Society.
Oh, was it?
And he's back again this year for the first time in quite a few years. So yeah, it was my first introduction to John Cumberledge. It was quite a learning experience. It was amazing.
What a guy!
So anyway, the Manx Operatic then, they've got a couple of pre-audition music rehearsals on the 24th, 26th and 31st of August, and also the 2nd of September. And then on the 3rd of September, which is a Friday night, they're having a meet and greet with John Cumberledge down at their rehearsal rooms. And then the auditions then are on the weekend of the 4th and the 5th of September. So check out our Facebook page for information there. I think there's information due up in the next few days about audition pieces and things like that. So keep an eye on our Facebook page and we'll update you with that.
You're listening to the Manx Theatre Podcast.
So back to you guys. What have been your favourite roles that you've played over the years? Liam, you go first.
Do you know, I was talking to my friend Dan Buckley, who's a professional actor, and he's a working actor. He's done amazing work, and he's played Elder Cunningham in Book of Mormon. Like, he's a really, really amazing guy. And I was talking to him about some of the roles I've done over the years, and he's like, "I'm going to vomit." He was like, "You've done like the most amazing things." Because I was having a chat to him about kind of the fact that you know, I often wonder what my life would have been like if I'd gone and tried to do it professionally, and you know, what would have happened and how it would have been. And he said, you're literally living the dream. He said, you've got a steady job. He said, and then you also get to play all these amazing roles. And we always all say, don't we, that we're all so lucky on the Isle of Man, the stuff we get to do. Anyway, I digress. The point I was making was I've been so lucky, and I've played so many amazing ones. Like I've played Danny in Grease and Edna in Hairspray.
Yes.
Like I was Tommy in Tommy. So I genuinely can't pick one. Like I really can't. They've all been so amazing for so many different reasons. But Edna definitely stands up there, 100%.
Certainly one of my favourites.
Yeah, you get to parade around in a fat suit and a dress, like it was, and you know, to play alongside John Cashin as well. Like I cannot express to you how much fun that was, because he made it so much fun, and he threw himself into it so much, and it was really, really great. But yeah, Tommy and Tommy and Danny and Grease, yeah, so many.
Brilliant. Natalie, how about you? What's been your favourite role?
Well, my favourite role was one I hadn't actually heard of when the show came out. It was in Thoroughly Mon Millie, and it wasn't a show I knew very well, and I got cast in the role of Dorothy. And you know, it was my first like proper role, so it stuck with me for that. But also just the whole experience of that show, I made so many like lifelong friends in that show. That's a show I properly became friends with Christian, and I met Josh Molyneux, and he's obviously off now training, and like Lois is in the show. And you know, it was just I was about 15 at the time, and I just loved every part of the character, of the cast, of the show. It's one of my favourite musicals ever, really, is Thoroughly Mon Millie. And also, I had the most gorgeous costumes in that show. Like, I truly felt like $1 million on that stage, and I just loved everything about her, really.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
What would be your dream role then? What's the one role that's the top of your bucket list that you have to play?
I know this one. Peggy Sawyer in 42nd Street.
Oh,
that's the one.
That been on the list for a long time, has it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the old school ones, which I just love. I've got my heart is in the old ones, but she's a tapper, and tap has always been my favorite, my strongest dance style. And then one of my tap teachers at Hammond, she was actually dance captain for 42nd Street in Germany.
Wow.
So she's taught us choreography from the show, and it's just, I just love every time I learn something new from it or learn something new about it, I fall in love with it even more. And I just think that's the one. That's my dream, is Peggy, 42nd Street.
Awesome. Liam, what's top of your bucket list?
My dream, well, do you know, Quasimodo was my dream role. It really was. But now that I know I'm going to play it, probably my other one. I went to, I don't know whether you've heard of her before, Lisa Kreisky.
No, I think I'm vaguely aware of her.
We went, a couple of years ago, we went away to London for a trip together, and we watched the revised production of Company, which has always been a big favourite of mine. And they changed the role of Amy to Jamie. And he gets to sing Not Getting Married Today. And when I watched that production, I said, because Lisa obviously has her own production company, I was like, please put the show on. I was like, please let me play that role. It's so funny. And he has like this really gorgeous emotional moment after this number, and it's such a fun song. And I'd love to play Jamie in like the revised version of Company, definitely.
Yeah, and there was they played around with genders quite a lot in that show, didn't they? Because they switched Bobby from a male to a female as well. Yeah. We were just talking about it because Natalie sang one of the songs. Which one did you sing?
So for my audition for Chorus Line, I sang "Marry Me a Little" from Company, which is one of Bobby's songs. It comes at the end of the first act, and then they've now asked me to sing "Being Alive" in Sunday Night at the Gaiety as well. So
brilliant.
I love Company. I think it's a great show. And I think regardless of the genders of who's playing what, I think it's incredible. It was
incredible because I think the way it was originally put together. I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent now about Company. Sorry. The the premise of a young man being single, living his life, doing whatever he wants, isn't something that's really sort of questioned by society anymore, whereas it was in the 1970s when it originally came out. But it is definitely something that's questioned of a woman.
Yeah.
And I think the idea to turn Bobby into a woman was genius, absolute genius. It just made the show so much more kind of appropriate and modern, and sort of, it was, the whole thing was incredible, absolutely amazing.
Fantastic. Okay then. Which was the part that you were born to play? So what is the part that either is most like you, or do you think that you could just slip straight into?
I know.
I'll let Natalie go first.
Mine is Katie in Mean Girls. Because that's the thing. I've always had this, especially my friends at uni. We have this joke that I am her, basically, because I come from a different country. Well, when I'm in England, it's different. I'm in South Africa. I'm actually very, very good at maths, which is one of her main things. So that's it. And I'm hopeless with boys. So it's kind of actually a match made in heaven. It's a match made in heaven, and it's just even before it was a musical, I was like, this is my character when it's Lindsay Lohan in the movie. But even when it became a musical, and I was like, God, she's got these great songs. They're just, it's just perfect. It's just my...
Even your hair's the right colour as well.
Exactly. Even I even look like her. They wouldn't even have to put a wig on me.
Mine, so we used to work in the Manx ops with a wonderful man called Scott St. Martin, who was a part of the original West End cast for Lacage. And I would love to play Alban from Lacage, because I really think I would do it quite well. And my first introduction to the story was Birdcage.
Yeah, well, a fantastic film.
Oh, incredible film. Have you ever seen it, Natalie?
No.
Please, you've got to, no judgment, but you've got to watch it. You've got to watch it. Anyway. And Nathan Lane plays the Alban role, and immediately when I saw it, I identified with him. He's overdramatic, he's emotional, camp as tits, like just I'm probably, Scott has told me quite recently that I'm still a bit too young. So like he's supposed to be in kind of his late 40s, early 50s, but I would die to play it, like I'd love to.
Maybe in another 15, 20 years, the Allman will be ready for it as well.
Well, I think the Allman's ready now. You know, we've had our first Pride Festival, and you know, it's something as well that I think is really lovely about company. I think when Natalie and I are talking about it, like there's a lot of there's 3 gay men in the characters, in the chorus line, and you know, and the show does not shy away from their sexuality whatsoever.
No,
No,
and
not
it's something, you know, kind of whether they're using my character who's quite camp and he's quite funny, Peter's character who is also camp, but kind of he takes himself quite seriously. And then, you know, I was saying before that a chorus line's got a bit of everything. Like there's pathos in it, but there's comedy. And Christian Cooper plays Paul, who's quite a tragic character, and he's a young gay man. And Christian's incredible, isn't he, Natalie? Like,
oh my gosh,
he plays this. If you buy a ticket to watch a chorus line, right? Just to watch Christian Cooper play this role, like he's incredible, like he's amazing.
It's worth the ticket price itself.
Oh, absolutely.
Honestly, Neil, he's what, 20? He makes me sick. The boy is like overflowing with talent, and what makes it worse is he's also really lovely.
Yeah,
you just like him. He plays this role with like such a level of sensitivity and emotional maturity that a 20-year-old just shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And he breaks my heart every time he does the monologue that he does in the middle of it. And it's so good. Christian is worth money on it by himself. He really is.
I second that. that. It's massive. The monologue it's really long, but you're watching it.
Huge.
It's a mammoth of a monologue. It's so challenging, and he does it. Oh, it's with such like sophistication and like nuance. It's insane, and even though it's long, it's not one of those like you sat there and thinking, oh my god, like
when's it going to end?
It's not that at all. It's so gripping, and it's one of the most like somber moments in the show, Oh, it's just beautiful, and as Liam said, that in itself is worth the ticket price because
absolutely.
And whilst we're talking about it, I mean, I know there hasn't been an age range that's been put on it, but I think there are some fairly adult, maybe grown up things discussed within the show. So it might not be suitable for the younger ones.
It's not for the kids.
Yeah,
it's not for the kids. This one, which is I think is quite nice because we just had Shrek, and we've had kind of Chick Chick Bang Bang a couple of years ago, Taylorian, and Singing in the Rain is quite family friendly. So I think it's really refreshing to watch them do something a little bit gritty, and I think Chris has really enjoyed that as well as a director, from what he's told me.
Something to get his teeth into.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
but not for the kids. Don't bring your nan. Yeah.
Only bring your nan if she's very good natured and
a
sense of humor because
make sure she's had a drink. Yeah.
Definitely. Nan might need a drink before she comes.
Yeah.
So thinking of the show then, with it being set in an audition and a dance audition, there's going to be some interesting 70s dancewear, I would imagine. So what are the best and or possibly worst costumes that you've had to wear over the years?
When I was in Little Mermaid, there was a little scene at the end where we had to dress up as like other Disney princesses, and I was Snow White, and I had to wear, oh sorry Jude if you're listening to this, but that Snow White wig that I had to put on my head was the worst thing I've ever had to wear on stage. Was that wig for the 2 minutes I was on stage as Snow White. I hated it.
At least it was only 2 minutes.
I know, thank God. I've probably dropped out of the show.
Well, after saying that it was one of my favourite roles, it was one of my favourite roles, but the fat suit in Hairspray, well, oh my God, oh my sweet Lord, like it was. And you've both done shows with me now. I am the sweatiest woman in showbiz, like I really am. And like it's I was like I'm so bad on Eye Under Those Lights, like it's something else. So kind of you can imagine this thing that's made of foam attached to my body underneath those lights dancing, and the smell was ungodly by the end of the week. Like it was absolutely unreal, and we couldn't wash it, so it had to just be like hung up and like left for the sweat to dry into it, and it was monstrous, absolutely disgusting. But
it was standing up by itself by the end of the week, from what I heard.
It was, it just walked itself out. It was helping with the get out by the end of it. But horrendous.
Okay, that's the next one is probably the last one, really. This is our gender swap question. So this often has some interesting answers, or it causes some people a little bit of difficulty about what they're going to go for. So, which role would you most like to play of the opposite gender?
Natalie, go first.
Right. So I'm kind of torn between two. So my serious answer, I'd love to play like Evan in Dear Evan Hansen, something like that, something really like, quite gritty, you can get your teeth into. It'd be a serious play. But then on the other hand, something really butch like Gaston in Beauty and the Beast. I just think it'd be fun to do that, to do a song Me.
Yeah.
Like I just, because I'm a very feminine girl, so just to have the chance to be able to completely turn that on its head and go for something like one of the manliest butch men roles that I can think of is Gaston in Beauty and the Beast, and I just think it'd be so fun. I just think it'd be so funny.
Perfect. Liam?
Mine would be, it would have to be Mama Morton in Chicago. Mainly because I already know I can sing the tits off the song because I've done it. But also because I remember when we were doing a show with Anthony Williams, and he told me that a production that he'd done of it, he had Betty Legs Diamond from Funny Girls play Mama Morton, and I was like, oh my God, the possibility opened up in my head.
Yeah. And
I was like, so I think one day, like, this is for anybody that's listening that wants to put this show on. I think it would be a really cool premise. Your production of Chicago, please ask me. But yeah, probably that. Or I can't really think of anything else. Yeah, no, probably that.
Brilliant. Okay, so moving on then. Just over a year ago, we launched our Spotify playlist. And the idea was for us to create the ultimate musical theatre playlist. Neil King and myself, we put 10 songs each in to get the playlist started because we want a decent amount of songs in there. And we pick songs that either we've sung or have been shows that we've been in or something that just meant something to us. So since then, we've asked people to add, everyone that's come onto the podcast since then, we've asked them to add a song to the playlist. Now, some of the highlights that we've had are... We've had Emma Callin chose West Side Story Overture because she wanted something from West Side Story, but couldn't decide which, so Overture has everything. Why not? Let's go for it. Ian Dixon chose Who I'd Be from Shrek the Musical. Tony Eccles chose When I Grew Up from Matilda. Lewis Kelly chose Waving Through a Window from Dear Evan Hansen. Joe Hillard chose Me in the Sky from Come From Away. So, Natalie, I know you had a little bit of trouble with this to begin with because
I did. I completely misunderstood the assignment, but
some of your choices, and they were good choices as well, actually. But some of your choices were already on the list. So, tell us about your initial choices and the reasons for choosing those, and then give us your addition to the list that you come up with.
Right. So my initial choice was "Wait for It" from Hamilton because it was my second most played song of 2020. It got me through. I did the first lockdown in my uni halls. I did all of September to Christmas in my uni halls, and it was genuinely the song that just like really kept me going. Like I just love it. I think it builds you up. It's the perfect song for every mood. When you're sad, Wait for It from Hamilton. When you're happy, Wait for It from Hamilton. I just think it's great, but somebody'd already picked it.
Sorry.
So yeah, well, thanks for that. But my actual choice is from a musical called 35mm, and it's based on a series of photographs, and it's on the premise of not only can a picture tell 1,000 words, but it can make a song. And so the song is called Immaculate Deception, and it basically was one of the songs we did as a year group in my first year of training, and it was one of our main production pieces, and it brought us all together as a year group. And when I tell you, it'll stick in your head for weeks and weeks and weeks on end, and it'll never leave. I mean it, but it's pure vibes, the song, and it means a lot for me because a lot of my closest friends I'm training with at the moment, and it brings us back to rehearsing that as a group, and I just absolutely love it. And it's a bit weird, and it's not a musical I'd heard of before, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same, but it's a great song, and I just love it.
I mean, this is one of the things that I love about this podcast and asking these questions to certainly to the younger members that come on, is that they've got their finger on the pulse. They're knowing all the new shows because they're being introduced to them through their training at university. And I've come across so many new shows over the last couple of years with this. It's been brilliant. So 35mm, I'll certainly be giving that one a listen, and we'll add that onto the list. Liam, what's your choice?
So I've already spoken about it. It's Not Getting Married Today from the 2018 cast recording company, and it's sang by the character Jamie, and he's about to marry his fiancée, and it's a song about kind of the premise of being a husband and kind of his fear of commitment and his fear of kind of losing himself by becoming somebody's husband, So, and it's a really, really funny song, but it's, when you delve into the lyrics and when you delve into sort of like why he's singing that, it's a song about kind of fear and about losing yourself. And it's probably my favorite song from the show. And again, a part that I would absolutely love to play. So that's why I picked it.
Fantastic. Right. So Liam, Natalie, thank you very much. So a chorus line then. It's at the Gaiety Theatre from the 7th to the 14th of August. Tickets are obviously on sale right now from the Gaiety Theatre, the Ville Marina, the Welcome Centre, 600, 555, all the usual places where you can get your tickets from. So get your tickets now and don't miss out. Liam, Natalie, thank you very much. Wish you all the very best of luck.
Thank you for having us.
And we will see you and speak to you again very, very soon.
See you soon.
You're listening to the Manx Theatre Podcast.
And with that, we bring episode 26 to a close. Thanks once again to Liam and Natalie for joining me on the podcast, and we wish them all the very best for a chorus line. As previously mentioned, unlike previous years where Taylorian shows have run for 2 weeks, a chorus line is only running for 1 week, so get your tickets now to avoid disappointment. Remember to like and follow our social media pages to get notifications of upcoming episodes and events, and don't forget to check out our Spotify playlist by searching for Manx Theatre Podcast under playlists. If you have any events that you'd like us to talk about or promote in a future episode, you can contact us through our social media accounts or by email to manxtheatrepodcast@gmail.com. All that remains is for me to say thank you for listening, and I hope you join me again next time on the Manx Theatre Podcast. I've been Neil Callin. Goodbye.
The Manx Theatre Podcast, taking a look behind the scenes of Manx Theatre.
And happier than actors' life for me.